Hello, everyone. This is Morgan O. Smith here. Today we are entering into which section? Bodhi and the Brain, Part 8. So, Bodhi and the Brain, Part 8. Here we're talking about my upcoming book, which is called Bodhi in the Brain, which is coming up very soon. As I said in the other segments, there are many topics that we're covering within this book. Also in this book, we'll be covering multiple intelligence. So I'm sure you already know that no human being just has one intelligence. There are multiple intelligence that we all have, but to different degrees. So some of us are have more cognitive than physical, or more emotional, and so on, and all that. So we have multiple intelligences, and we all have them. But for each and every one of us, certain intelligence can be more developed, can be enhanced to some degree, and meditation can help to do that. Especially Yinnergy Meditation, which I created years ago, which I'll be speaking about. So if you don't know about the different different intelligences, there's emotional intelligence, spatial, musical, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, spiritual, linguistic, naturalistic, and the list goes on. There's other forms of intelligence too, but these are some of the main ones that are covered. But what I would like to say, I'm making the claim that Yinnergy and other forms of meditation, especially with brainwave entrainment, can increase those intelligences within each individual. Of course, it's different for different people because we have different abilities and different levels of intelligences, and some are more dominant than others. But they can all be increased to some degree. And when you meditate with Yinnergy, after some time, you start to realize that you start to improve in certain areas. I'm not saying that you're going to get 100% in a level of intelligence, but it can increase to a certain degree, where you have more access to each of these intelligences. Not only that, though it may increase to some degree, my claim is that these different types of intelligence can also be broadened. So I'm not necessarily looking at someone heightening a form of intelligence, but more broadening a certain type of intelligence, because there's more room within a base system that can be covered, which I think sometimes is something that we overlook. So there's a certain amount of volume within a certain intelligence, and most of that can be covered, as opposed to trying to climb a tower. But it's also about, how do I put it? Taking advantage of the space that's available. So a lot of us, I think, we think about how do I get higher in something when we're not covering the actual base of a certain level, which has a lot of benefit if you're able to cover a base of a certain level of intelligence before going higher into the different levels of that intelligence, if you know what I mean. So if you can cover more base within a certain level of intelligence, that's going to be highly beneficial for you. So, if that makes any sense to you. But as I said, all these different levels of intelligence can be increased and can be broadened to a certain degree. And as I said, Yinnergy can do that. Again, it's not a magic pill. You have to put some time and effort into this. And you also have to do the regular stuff that you have to do every day to try to increase these or to broaden these types of intelligences. But you'll know within yourself where you're lacking and where you need to improve, and how you can broaden those forms of intelligence, especially interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, emotional intelligence, which are very necessary for being social, learning how to be social with other people and things of that sort, which are very, very important. So it's not just about how good you are in math and how good you are at at physics or anything like that, which that is also important too within certain individuals who need to learn that, because everything that we do together is we need all those contributions, of course. But for the average person, just you could be very intelligent in the cognitive area, but lack intelligence in the emotional area, and that wouldn't be too good. That you're super smart, but have no love, empathy, compassion for anyone. So the two of those can go hand in hand. So if you have high cognitive intelligence, you can also improve on your emotional intelligence. And if you have very high emotional intelligence, you can improve in your cognitive intelligence and so on. They go hand in hand. So you have to within the individual that you are, you have to learn how to balance that so that you can become more whole as a person. You, however, you don't have to be great in all the intelligences. You don't have to be equally balanced in all these intelligences. It's more like having a puzzle and putting the pieces to the puzzle together to be the best whole person that you can possibly be within yourself in regards to these intelligences. But also another thing that Yinnergy really helps with is different types of thinking. And I don't believe a lot of us put a lot of thought into that, of what goes into thinking. And there's of course, there's thinking that we already know about, like logical thinking and things of that sort. But Yinnergy also increases and improves critical thinking, transrational thinking. Now when we talk about transrational thinking, especially in regards to logic, which is your rational thinking, there's something beyond rational thinking, and that's transrational thinking. So imagine something that goes beyond your rational thinking, where you can start to think in a way that is transrational. And this is a very great ability to have if you're able to explore that and to increase that to a certain degree. And Yinnergy can help you to do that. Meta thinking, we're talking about thinking beyond your regular thinking. So meta thinking in a way that is more, that's more broad, that's more, what meta meaning beyond, thinking outside of the box, if you want to say it that way. So meta thinking is also very important, which goes into what goes in hand in hand with meta thinking and transrational thinking is holistic thinking, learning how to integrate more than one idea, which is a great thing to do if you're able to do that, because a lot of us, when we try to come up with ideas, we think of only one idea, not realizing that you can actually combine different ideas together to come up with a whole new result. So holistic thinking is another important one. But there's something that leads to these type of thinkings that I mentioned, like critical thinking, transrational thinking, meta thinking, and holistic thinking, and that's whole brain thinking. So whole brain thinking happens with meditation, especially with Yinnergy, when you learn how to use the two hemispheres of your brain equally. So for most of us, one side of our brain is more dominant than the other. So some of us are more left brain, which is like the logical thinking, mathematical thinking, analytical thinking, and all that. But the right side of the brain is more creative, more artistic, more expressive. And it's about learning how to use the two together equally. So the two sides of your brain starts to have a relationship with each other as opposed to fighting or opposing each other. And when you have whole brain thinking, you take thinking to a whole different level when you learn how to do that. And this is what brainwave entrainment, especially with low carrier frequency brainwave entrainment such as Yinnergy. Another form of thinking, which we all know, is problem solving. Imagine if you're better at problem solving, how much would life be? How much would life improve if you knew how to increase your problem solving thinking? And of course, last but not least, thinking without thinking. So learning how to do things without putting, how do I explain that? But learning how to do things without that second thought that pops in your head when you have to second guess yourself, but you're able to just do and do that without the upper level of thinking, but you're able to work in a way that's more based on intuition, based on intuition and instinct. So learning how to do that without putting in second guessing yourself. So thinking without thinking is a great thing to learn as well, especially this is something that's taught within martial arts, learning how to use your intuition. And intuition can give you a lot of information about your environment before acting on something. So these are some of the things that Yinnergy does, and which are very, very important. So I advise you to get this book when this book comes out, which is coming up very soon. Again, it's called Bodhi and the Brain. It's written by me, Morgan O. Smith. And Yinnergy is a meditation practice, a meditation program that anyone can benefit from. And stay tuned next week for part 9 for Bodhi and the Brain. Take care, everyone.